The Golden Knights split a pair of weekend games. Our recap's next right here on Lockdown Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. Please make sure to subscribe to our Lockdown Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. The playoff time is here, and check it out. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So, Chris, VGK able to bounce back from the loss on Saturday to the Rangers by knocking off the Minnesota Wild last night. 4-1 was the final, playing without Jack Eichel. He was out with an illness. The Golden Knights, Pavel Dorofeyev, stepping up, picks up the slack, has a couple of goals, right? And one of those was on the power play. Duro now with a team-leading 16 goals on the season. Let's talk first about Dorofeyev, his impact on this team.
Yeah, I mean, Dorofeyev is definitely kind of team leader in scoring. That's just crazy to say it like that, but that's the reality right now. Dorofeyev 16, Barbashev, Howden 15, Stone, Hurdle 12, Eichel 11, and Keegan Colasar double digits, 10 goals. What a world we're living in right now. Dorofeyev is doing what I think a lot of people expected. I was telling people on the business side of him to invest in his rookie cars and, 4 years ago. And now there's a little bit of a payoff happening, and we'll see how far Dorofeyev can go. Can he get 40 goals? I know that sounds crazy, but if he gets hot, a couple goals here, a couple goals there, he can be right on that scoring pace. He's definitely, not going to say definitely, but I think 30 goals is very reasonable. And it's fun watching him find that soft ice. He's got a great shot. And there was a change that I noticed in the game. It happened on the power play. Dorofeyev went in the top power play unit. Olofsson came out. And Coach Cassidy mentioned that it was more of a Hudge type of thing, right? It was just move him around, see what happens. Coach Cassidy said they're interchangeable parts in the power play in his post-game presser. I think, this is me, I think Coach got upset with Olofsson's shot selection on the 5-on-3 that they had. So Golden Knights got a 5-on-3. One of the Minnesota Wild players lost their stick. Olofsson fired a shot from a little farther back with not a lot of traffic. And I think just at that time, at that moment, that shot selection was absolutely horrible. You isolate the player without the stick, you work your way in, you work your way low, and you get a better scoring chance. So that's my thing. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it was a bad shot by Olofsson. Dorofeyev goes in, and Dorofeyev finishes the job on the dying seconds of the power play, the two-man advantage.
Nick Waugh returns last night, back with his chums, Colasar and Howden. And we saw last night that Colasar scores the game-winning goal, as you had mentioned, but he also took an L after fighting Foligno. Another loss. This guy wanted to fight Rempe the other night. I mean, he would have gotten wiped. And Keegan Colasar was just an assist away from the Gordie Howe hat trick.
He had a lot of great passes. I had a Keegan Colasar appreciation post last night.
What was that all about? You're so emotional, bro.
I'm emotional. Listen, Colasar is playing well. I mean, career high in goals, number one. It's only 42, 43 games in the season right now. And it's not just the scoring and stuff like that. It's the changes in his game. He used to be get across the red line, chip and chase, go down low, get dirty, find a way to win the battle. Now it's like a quarterback going through their options, right? He's not just looking for the check down play. He's looking for the big play. He's looking for a different play. The game is maybe slowing down for Colasar, I guess is what I'm trying to say right now. Colasar is finding ways to make stronger entries, more confident entries, keeping puck possession and leading to a possible scoring chance really fast before we keep diving in here. Second period starts last night, and I got the two people sitting to my right, and the person looks at me and says, are you Chris Golick? And I'm like, oh boy, how do you answer that, right? Yes or no, or maybe you have a little fun here. I split the season tickets with a friend of mine, so sometimes he has his coworkers come and stuff, so I wasn't sure what the relationship was. I'm like, oh, why do you, I said, forgot what I said. And her name was Nicole. She actually listens to Locked On all the time. And she had the nicest things to say about me. It was very nice. Said really enjoys what I bring to the show and everything. And, we had a lot of fun, but she never mentioned you, Tony.
It's okay, man. I just steered the ship. And you see my new
Thank
title
you,
there,
Nicole, by the way. Thank you,
the
Nicole.
new graphic, Tony Cordasco, Lockdown Golden Knights. You just say Chris Golick.
People know me, bro.
Okay, so I was broadcasting high school basketball the other night. A terrific gentleman had to leave and then come back. So he listened and watched driving in his car. I
Oh, this
don't
is
know if
good.
he was watching much. He was listening mostly to the play by play of the broadcast. And then he stopped. He had to pick up his wife. And then he's watching it. And he goes, wow, the picture was so much clearer than on the nighttime plus. I call it nighttime minus on the nighttime plus application. And then last night, so I'm at volleyball last night. The Thrill played, swept last night. Reverse sweep on Friday night was cool. So last night I'm watching the game on and off, but I turn on the nighttime minus app and I tweeted out a picture. There was nothing on the screen. It was dark. I couldn't get a picture on that stinking screen. Okay, so that's great. Thank you so much for listening to Chris's show, Nicole. So the bottom of the hockey stat card, Schwint and Holtz. There has to be there have to be better players to acquire at the trade deadline than those two guys. I'm sorry. I just have had enough. You talk about all the successes of McCrimmon. These two are epic fails. I'm sorry. They're at the bottom again. It's not good.
Epic
It's not good.
fails where
What are they?
we're talking.
What are they adding? What are they adding to this team?
No, and that's fair. Epic fails. No, they're not epic fails. They're a couple of kids trying to find their way through the National Hockey League and
Should
getting
be
a
in the
chance.
AHL. They need the help there. If you're not going to score, play for this AHL team because you'll fit right in.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair, and that's not a low blow. The Silver Knights are terrible, so plenty of opportunity. So look at how they lined up. I mean, Jack Eichel's maintenance day to day illness. No, I'm
Maintenance
just
day to
kidding.
day. No,
Maintenance
no,
day to
no,
day
no.
illness.
But here's a red flag to me.
Oh,
He's out with an illness. Cassidy last night or 2 nights ago. He's out. He's out with an illness. We don't know how long he'll be out, but he's out with an illness. That doesn't sound encouraging, folks.
yeah, no, I hear you.
Illness
I
day
hear
to
you. I
day.
mean,
Illness day to day.
so number one, when Eichel comes back, let's assume Tuesday night they have a full roster. Carlson obviously is going to
Is out.
slot
Is out of
down,
the lineup.
and this is who they have, right? This will be a completely healthy roster when Eichel does come back, which on January the 14th is awesome. Assuming nothing happened last night. I know Mark Stone had some soreness during the game. Hopefully there's nothing to see here type of thing. So Carlson will probably slot down. I don't think he's gonna slot between Howden and Waugh, and they're gonna push Nicholas Waugh down to that line. But I'm with you right now. This basically is a 3-line team with Pearson, Schwinn, and Holtz going out there not to get scored on. Let's just be honest with ourselves. To be fair, the fourth line did generate some chances last night in the third period. I thought they had some moments. I thought that they looked better in the third. But again, you're playing a Minnesota team who was softened up the night before. They traveled. They played back-to-back. Yes, the Golden Knights played back-to-back, but VGK had the benefit of not traveling between the games, which is certainly a help. That's definitely a help. I don't care how you look at that. I know the Tony haters are going to come out and stuff, but the reality is when you don't travel between games, you have more energy. That's just how things go. And
absolutely. And you could see them fade, right? You saw the Wild fading. I think
look at what the intern put out. VGK outlasted the Wild, right? That's definitely
the intern.
Yeah, the intern.
The intern's
hard work.
also
Appreciate it.
wished you a happy birthday.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. That was nice. The intern wished me a happy birthday. That was good. We'll keep him around, but thank you. It was a nice day. I started with some pancakes in the morning with the blueberries on them, writing out number 44. That was not a good reminder. And then I got the grumpy old man kit from my from the family.
What?
It was a grumpy. I actually made a YouTube video out of it, but it was let's see what was inside of there. Oh, here's one of the gifts. Two of the gifts. Here, hold
on. All right, show and tell day right here on Lockdown Golden Knights. Come back, Golick, come back.
I'm here.
All right, there we go. He's got something.
All right, so I'm getting forgetful in my old age, right, as we all are. So I got the crap I'll forget unless I write it down handbook. So that's important. Apparently my vision's going, so looks like I got an as seen on TV thing. I can put my phone into this and it blows it up really big so I can look at it.
That's
There were
creative.
some Tums in there which we can use. There were some stress-free gummies, but not those type of gummies. Relax, guys.
The
And
employee
then
of the year is on. She was on fire yesterday. The
well, don't forget
employee of
about the
the year.
bottle of Jack Honey that was in there. That's the best
Oh,
part.
it's okay. That's the best part. Yeah, that's
So
why
yeah,
she's
we'll be
deserving
enjoying
there.
that for the next 3 or 4 weeks to come. Because that's how long it'll take me to hit that. If I drink it every day, it'll take me 3 or 4 weeks. So, but yeah, good day. We had fun.
So, listening to State Run last night, the audio.
What was that? What was that? You had a conversation about State Run last night. What was that all
Okay, so Zach Whitecloud goes on State Run Radio and says it feels like expletive SH asterisk T.
Nice. You're talking like me.
When VGK isn't winning at home for the fans. And he just flat out says that, bro, that might go like somewhere else, like in Canada. In Canada, you might be able to say that. In Singapore, absolutely, you could swear on the air, but not here, bro.
Why not?
FCC.
Why not?
Well,
Unfiltered.
I should have tagged the FCC. Okay, so I don't believe so. Minnesota, right in that L that they took the other night in Colorado, half of their team was out. How many players was it? About the same last night? I think a couple of guys defensively, including the guy that Kolasar went after, prompting the fight. And we know Kaprizov was out of the lineup last night. So they played half of the Wild.
They played more than half. But, I mean, so listen, here's where the Wild had a slight advantage. They've adjusted. I'm not saying they've succeeded, but they've adjusted to life without Kirill Kaprizov. The Jack Eichel thing, I'm assuming it wasn't as probably last second as we're led on to be. I'm sure they probably knew throughout the day, but still, the Golden Knights haven't had a lot of games. They haven't had any games this year without Jack Eichel. So the tough adjustment, and you kind of saw it in the first period. I mean, the Golden Knights, they were okay. They had chances, and you wondered if they were going to find their game against a Wild team that struggled a little bit, against a Wild team off the back-to-back. All sorts of an illness went through the team as well a few nights ago, too. So definitely a troubling situation. I think the Golden Knights were minus 180. I had the over last night. I thought I was going to maybe catch a miracle push at the end, but I did go on the Golden Knights at minus 165 in game in the third period. I felt the Golden Knights were playing well enough. They were going to get their looks. I didn't think they were going to struggle twice, tied going into the third like they did against the Rangers. And I guess my only regret is I didn't go minus 2.5 for a nice, probably plus 700 payday. I took the minus 165 and ran.
So this was perhaps Marc-Andre Fleury's final game at the Fortress.
Man. We miss him.
So did you guys get a puck from Marc-Andre?
Yeah,
Fleury?
So I caught out of the corner of my eye. He's always shooting pucks over, and he was trying the whole warm up. And I saw it happen. I'm the only one that saw it happen, and it came flying up. I'm watching. I got my hand out. It might have hit the person's forehead next to me. I don't know, but that's fine. Whatever. They should have been paying attention. And it lands under my foot. Chris grabs it, and we got a puck from Fleury. So there you go.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and they did have a nice farewell video for him.
Yes, that was nice.
Did that include the goring, the sword in the back?
The sword wasn't there, nor was Elgath. But listen, again, Tony, you mentioned emotional stuff earlier. Again, emotional response, but no one is beloved, even on the current roster, as much as Marc-Andre Fleury. This city absolutely adores him. And if there's a number you would love to see in the rafters, it would be nice. It's not going to happen. Oh, it is not happening. I want to be clear about this. It's not happening.
Before his Carlson.
No, Stone's the first, Tony. Stone's the first one.
Okay. Coming up next, we'll recap the VGK loss to the Rangers on Saturday night. We'll get to that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are so much better with FanDuel. Get out of my screen, bro. There we go. Because right now, new customers, I'm sorry to intervene in your show, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything that you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. And make sure that you check out the website. There's so much to be had there. There's betting lines around the league. There's all sorts of prop bets. This is the best time of year to get into the prop game for me. Just visit FanDuel.com. Join today. Get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable. That's what we are with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Those new graphics have you going a little batty there, I think. Yeah, a little bit.
I need to open more
We hate
company
change.
emails. We learned that this morning. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Lockdown. I need
that's
to do
okay.
better.
We hate change. We also did like an unbelievable first segment. We went over again, and I'm sure that the boss is watching again
Unbelievable.
today.
That's right.
Yes. Fridays, WTF. Saturdays, sometimes it's the Chris Jr. show. So right after that 9-1 loss to the Rangers, 2-1 loss to the Rangers, VGK's Bruce Cassidy starts to cite puck luck and the lack of it. Okay, so he said that the team wasn't scoring, all that stuff, and again, they had that one issue: the puck passes the goal line right after the final horn of the second period. It happened before, happened in the Montreal game. Puck luck. That's all he could talk about was puck luck. He seemed very frustrated with his team's lack of scoring. And here we go with a scoring drought that typically comes into play this time of year for VGK.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hit that more if VGK can avoid the letdown. But you just watch that game, and man, it felt like a January game. It felt like every January game for the last 7 seasons with the Vegas Golden Knights. I wasn't watching the game as closely as I watched most. Admittedly, we were playing Catopoly on Saturday night, Tony. Just so you know, not Monopoly, Catopoly. So, like, instead of go to jail, you fall into the water. A chance card, they're scratching posts, and the utilities are mouse and something else. It was a good time. We had fun. But the game was on the background. I was peeking over at it, and just not a lot of punch. Just don't know why VGK couldn't get up for this game, and it's going to happen. Like, if the Golden Knights wouldn't have bounced back against the Wild, I think we're maybe having a different perspective here right now. But Rangers, Islanders, more the Islanders probably than the Rangers, honestly. But the Islanders are just, a weird team for the Golden Knights whenever they come here. And then here come the Rangers and the starting goalies, right? Golden Knights face 2 starting goalies Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 starting goalies. Sorry, you got Shesterkin, you got Gustafsson, and then you got Sorokin, and the Golden Knights could only muster 1 victory there. So if there is a new narrative forming, and this is, I think, where Sinbin's been ahead of everybody on this one, it's the Golden Knights struggling against starting goalies. Backups, the Golden Knights have absolutely demolished all season. Does this pose a problem for down the road as the Golden Knights play tougher opponents, or when they play against a starter in a 7-game playoff series? We'll see what happens then. But again, good to see the Golden Knights get it back against the Wild. They're just a flat, boring game against the Rangers, I think. Just flat and boring. I don't know how else to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you also call the Islander game boring as well. So those teams are lulling.
Island have been boring for their entire life. Except when they won 4 Stanley Cups in a row. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so we did have Ivan Barbashev, his return on Saturday night, and yesterday was Nick Waugh's return. Barbashev, what did you make of his play on the return?
I noticed Barbashev more last night, I think, and you would have liked to see a little more maybe out of the Golden Knights top line on Saturday against the Rangers, and I really didn't feel like they were around it as much. Barbashev was a physical presence definitely on Sunday, almost to the point where you wanted to go with a couple different players throughout the game, and it didn't wind up happening. Good to have him back. He's got to get his legs back, though. He definitely is nowhere near where he was, and not because he hadn't scored goals or anything like that. Just you could see it's coming. It'll take time. He missed when they played the Wild. It was almost a month ago.
Almost a month. Yeah.
So give it some time for Barbashev, and obviously without Eichel last night made it a little more difficult. And I thought Carlson was okay against the Wild, but I feel like he got a little more flowers than he needed.
10 games without a goal.
Well, I knew you had that stat would be dialed up instantly.
Of course. So Yeah, and that was the game that Colasar was chirping at Matt Rempe, telling him that he's not a hockey player. And luckily, he didn't go because that would have ended
To be
really
fair,
fast.
Matt Rempe isn't a hockey player. He's not very good.
It doesn't matter.
He has less relevance to hockey than Ryan Reeves does. Right
I would take him for VGK in a heartbeat.
all 4 minutes of his game, all 4 minutes he plays, Tony.
No. Yes, he's a great intimidator. I found it interesting. So Molly Walker, who's been a guest on my radio show in the past, had a really good story leading up to the game about Riley Smith. Riley Smith saying that when he was acquired by VGK, he thought that his career was over, going to an expansion team. Pretty interesting quote right there, right?
It's a good start.
Yeah, no, he just really felt that, things were coming to an end. You go, you're an everyday player in the NHL, and then you go to an expansion team. So that was interesting. In that game, by the way, VGK scores a power play goal and gives up a power play goal. They just can't get ahead of themselves in that game, can they?
No, I mean, to stay with memory lane, look up, there's a great article. I think Dave Perron actually wrote it when he was with the Golden Knights. And it started off with a text string between Perron and Marc-Andre Fleury. It was known Fleury was going to Vegas at the time, like a couple days before the expansion draft even, it was basically known. And the rest of the roster was kind of coming together, and Dave Perron caught wind that he was going to be drafted by VGK. So Perron sent a text to Marc-Andre Fleury with Vegas and just a question mark. That was it. Marc-Andre Fleury's response was Vegas exclamation points. And Perron wrote an article about it. So just kind of a different perspective of how two players viewed their trip to Vegas and how things turned out. One point I did want to make about the Rangers game. No one really was talking about this. I don't understand, but what was Samsonov doing on the first goal of the game, on the power play goal that Trocheck scored? So it hits Trocheck basically in the rib, right? It was just a hard shot. The puck, if Trocheck isn't standing there, it came from the left points. Zibanejad had shot it, I believe.
Yeah.
It comes from the left side. It would have gone wide right had it not hit Trocheck. And by enough for if I can see it from that far, an NHL goaltender can see it like that too. Don't kid yourself. Samsonov, for whatever reason, he is just sliding across, and I thought his positioning was incredibly poor on that. And credit Trocheck for taking that puck where he did and getting the goal, and he went down the tunnel afterwards. I think he came back, thankfully. But yeah, Samsonov, I thought that was a bad goal to give up. And then the Edstrom goal, Vegas Golden Knights drafty. The Edstrom goal, nothing Samsonov is going to do is tip play. Mark Stone, the giveaway down low. You don't want to see that. And I guess I don't think we highlighted in the first segment. Donovan McNabb, Braden McNabb gets caught in the pinch and just turns that puck over. And then I forgot who it was, but just Aiden Hill got sniped. Nothing that's going to happen. It was a great shot there.
Yeah. And again, out forechecked by a team from the East. That's all I can say.
Time and space, Tony. The East, some of the Eastern Conference teams do much better than the Western Conference teams at taking away time and space. Now, thankfully, the Golden Knights are going to run this thing back from a couple of years ago. They only got to win 4 games against the East when it matters. So if there's a positive, that's the positive. So
Molly Walker also had another quote in that story that said, it was for me. When I joined Locked On Golden Knights, I thought my career was over with Golic. Coming up next.
No one's going to drag you for that one. No one's going to say anything about that.
Coming up next, can VGK avoid a January letdown? We'll get to that and much, much more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights.
I hit that button. Okay, good. There we go.
Did Rocket Money help you to find any subscriptions that you forgot about that you were paying for twice? Well, definitely happened to me. Happens to me all the time. I have a few subscriptions I didn't even realize that I was paying for. And guess what? Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for all of your finances. Again, Rocket Money is a personal finance app, and it helps you to cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you to lower your bill so that you can grow your savings. It brings everything together all in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals that you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. That's right. For me, it's unbelievable. The features are the best. It has the subscription tracker and so much more. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions today. Reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We appreciate you tuning in, everyone, especially our everydayers. And of course, on Fridays, it's WTF. Saturdays, the Chris times Chris show. Sometimes. So, can VGK avoid a January swoon, a letdown like we've seen in the past? I know Bruce Cassidy might call it a funk. He might say it's a lack.
That might be the first time we said funk, Tony. That's the first time we used funk buzzer this season.
Yeah. Oh, you could say that. You could probably say that on the post-game show there for State Run. Okay, so you might call it a funk. You might call it a lack of puck luck. Is this something that might occur to VGK? It is, in all fairness, it is right now dry January. So that's when things start to dry up for VGK.
What is dry? Do I even need to ask what dry January is?
No, you don't drink. You start off the new year and you don't drink for the whole month. You never heard of dry January?
No, I've never had a dry month in my life.
This is true. Very good.
At least
very good.
At least from,
well, not in January either. It's the birthday month.
It's from 2001 or 2002. Well, probably about 1988, but whatever. All right. So let's see here. Golden Knights right now, January, 8 out of 12 points. My math tells me that's a 750 points percentage. Not bad. Good start. Last 3 Januaries, just looked this up a second ago on Stat News, 577, 417, and 500. So historically, Golden Knights have had a lot of trouble in January. Now, it looked like it was going to be a rough start to the month. You watched, or not a rough start, but definitely a rough transition as the Golden Knights lost to both of the teams from New York. And Wild scored last night first, so you're starting to wonder, okay, is this going to keep on going here? The intern says, can VGK avoid a January letdown? The answer is yes. I think, number one, the schedule is still pretty beneficial. You got, between now and the end of the month, the Golden Knights they got a lot of road games. They got a lot. Well, between now and I should say the start of the Four Nations, there's a lot of road games. There's 5 on the road and 4
Dude, they've been playing games at home since the start of the season. Have they ever left the Fortress?
They never left. The schedule has all the teams are in black. They never played a road game, Tony. Road schedule coming up: Nashville, Carolina, Chicago. 3 games, but it's Tuesday to Saturday, so it's not that
back to back.
No, back to back. Oh no, Carolina, Chicago, but Chicago
is again. This is how rigged it is. It should be Chicago first, the easier team, and then the Carolina.
I mean, it makes sense going to Nashville. Think about the triangular of the travel.
I don't care about that.
Whatever. Anyway. Come back for 1 home game against St. Louis.
Cassidy needed the extra day because they typically play Carolina and then the Florida games for South.
Yeah, this is different, I guess, seeing it like this. So
he might head to Florida himself.
On the road, Nashville, Carolina, Chicago. Home game, St. Louis. Road game, St. Louis. Road game, Dallas, and then 3 home games in a row to end the month. Florida, Dallas, and Columbus, who is currently Chris loves quizzing me on standings and stuff. He says, okay, name the 8 teams in the playoffs right now in the Eastern Conference. So I can go through usually the first 5 or 6 with these. The last 2 or 3 spots, wild cards always change and stuff like that. And he gives me 3 guesses. If I like Family Feud, 3 X's and I'm out. And then he, tells me who it is. And I was shocked to learn Columbus, as of last night, was holding on to the last wild card spot in the East. I had no idea. So
me neither.
Point being is that that homestead right there, Florida, Dallas, Columbus to end January, that's 3 playoff teams in a row. So we'll see how it goes. And Columbus Eastern Conference team? Or are they going to play that tight checking game like the other Eastern Conference teams have been doing?
I would just follow that blueprint continuously. Yeah. So the Preds, the Canes, the Blackhawks, the back-to-back next Friday, Saturday, Carolina to Chicago, the Panthers, the Stars, the Blue Jackets. That'll be an interesting one. They play like sort of, there's some time off in between, but they play St. Louis here and then they go back to St. Louis. So, yeah, it's manageable. It is manageable for VGK. Well, especially if they get back to playing their game. Right now, other than half of the roster, they beat like that. They have two squads in baseball. That was like the B squad, I think, that they faced last night. Fans were really bummed that Fleury did not get the start here. I don't think Fleury wants to start. I don't think he wants to play here with all the distractions and everything else. I don't believe he wants
He's
to.
made a career out of that, though. He can handle it. I get it. Don't get me
When
wrong.
was the last time he played here? When he was with the Blackhawks?
Was it with the Hawks? It might have been with the Hawks. Someone can correct us if we're wrong. We usually are.
That was like my one game of the year that they allowed me into the Fortress. So.
And see, that's the one game we couldn't make last year or 2 years ago now. That's when I got that. You can see the jersey hanging over my left shoulder. I should have turned it around in honor of Fleury, but that's the half and half Blackhawks Golden Knights jersey with Fleury's name on the back in gold. So I should have turned that around, but too lazy. That's fine.
So do you get a case for the Fleury puck, or like how do you?
We'll put it in like a little. We'll put it in like a little. They cost $1, a little dollar thing.
How do you authenticate that was from Fleury too? There's no way.
So Dr. John Strickland actually said he saw Fleury chip it over the glass. So I have a third party.
Have Dr. Strickland sign the puck. I would have.
I should, yeah. Like when you hit the hole-in-one in golf.
Like the what?
Like the hole-in-one in golf. Your partner has to sign the scorecard.
Perfect.
So really fast, Golden Knights. Before
really
you take
fast.
Us out of here,
Again, remember, you didn't read the notes. It said, "Hey, when you guys are supposed to wrap up, but no, you go on a tangent."
It's dry January. I forgot.
Okay.
So 32 points up for grabs in January. Golden Knights, they can get to a 600 points percentage. That's 19 or 20 points. That's good. They might do better, obviously. Golden Knights already have 2, 4, 6, 8 points. So 12 more points in these last 11 or so games, whatever it is. That's very, very, very manageable. Basically a point per game pace, plus or minus. So can VGK avoid the letdown? Injuries are obviously the key, but right now, January the 14th, presumably, the entire Golden Knights roster should be out there unless this illness becomes something like
shenanigans. Shenanigans, yes. There's some shenanigans. When the way that Cassidy had talked about it, I felt the same way that he did about someone day-to-day maintenance.
Barbashev, Stone always starts day-to-day. Shea Theodore started day-to-day, and I think he missed like 2 months.
I think he'll be okay, but we'll have to see, how his illness, shakes out or whatever.
If Eichel does miss extended time, they're toast.
That's trouble.
Now you can take us out. Now I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done talking.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our good friends around the world. We definitely appreciate you. Fridays are WTF, Saturdays sometimes. Take your Tums, bro, man. I heard something in your stomach.
I was crinkling the paper toss like on Pardon the Interruption.
I know, that was good.
Or PTI, around the horn.
Around the horn, yeah. Okay, and then on Saturday sometimes, Chris and Chris Jr. Show. For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco with the new graphic. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights, and please take care.